I started selling stocks here when I was 20 years old. I got out of Columbia, and although I was 20, I looked about 16, and I behaved like I was about 12. So I did not make a huge impression selling stocks. I used to just walk around downtown and call on people, which is the way it was done, and then I went to work for Graham. But when I came back, the people that joined me actually, one of my sisters, her husband, my father-in-law, my Aunt Alice, guy I roomed with in college, and his mother, and I've skipped one. But in any event, those people just had faith in me. And my father-in-law, who was a dean at the what was then the University of Omaha, he gave me everything he had, and to quite an extent they all did. And so it was they knew I'd done reasonably well by that time. That would have been 1956. So I'd been investing 5 or 6 years, and actually I was in a position where when I left New York and came back to Omaha, I had about $175,000, and I was retired. So I guess they figured if I was retired at 26, I must be doing something right, and they gave me their money. And then it just unfolded after that. An ex-stockholder of Graham Newman, the president of a college, came out, and Ben Graham was winding up his partnership or his fund, and he recommended me. And then another fellow saw the announcement in the paper that we'd formed a partnership, and he called me, and he joined, and just one after another. And then actually a year or two later, a doctor family called, and they were the ones that ended up with me meeting Charlie. So a lot of stuff just comes along if you just keep plodding along. But the record later on of the partnership attracted money, but initially it was much more just people that knew me and had faith in me. But these were small sums of money. We started with $105,000. Charlie?
Well, of course, that's the way you start. But it's amazing. We've now watched a lot of other people start. And the people that have followed the old Graham Newman path have one thing in common: they've all done pretty well. I can hardly think of anybody who hasn't done moderately.
Yeah, everybody did well. Yeah.
So if you just avoid being a perfect idiot and have a good character and just keep doing it day after day, it's amazing how it will work.
Yeah, it was accident to a significant extent. If a few of those people hadn't have said to me, what should I buy? And I said, I'm not going to go back in the stock brokerage business, but I will, we'll form a partnership, and your fate will be the same as mine, and I won't tell you what I'm doing. And they joined in, and it went from there. But it was not planned out in the least, at zero. I met Charlie, and he was practicing law, and I told him that was okay as a hobby, but it was a lousy business. So he
Fortunately, I listened. It took a while, however.
Yeah.
What's your opinion? Will you pay more attention to internet? Could I invite both two gentlemen to answer my question? Thank you very much.
Charlie, I didn't get all that. So you.
Well, he asked that we're going to be using the internet. Warren is a big internet user compared to me, but
I love it.
He plays bridge on it.
Yeah, I use a lot of other. I use search. It's been a huge change in my life, and it cost me $100 a year or something like that. I mean, if I had to give up the plane or I had to give up the internet, the plane cost me $1.5 million a year. The internet cost me $100 a year. I wouldn't want to give up either one of them, but I'd give up the plane.
Interesting. But
Charlie's given up both.
Are we going to be doing more? And I think everybody's going to be doing more things on the internet. It is growing in importance. And so, like it or not, we're dragged into modern reality.
Doesn't sound like he likes it, does it?
No, I don't like it. I don't like multitasking. I see these people doing 3 things at once, and I think, God, what a terrible way that is to think. I am so stupid that I have to think hard about thing for a long time, and the idea of multitasking my way to glory has never occurred to me. But at any rate, the internet is here, and it's going to be more and more important, and everybody's going to think more about it and do more about it, like it or not. And of course, the younger people are way more prone to use it than we are. But Berkshire, you have what? How many Bloombergs now?
In the office?
Yeah.
Do we have 2 or 3? Mark? I don't know. They don't tell me about them. They sort of hide them when I come in the room.
At any rate, we're into the modern world.
We have Mark Hamburg tells me we have 3, but we'll reevaluate that situation when I get back to the office. What's that? Oh, we're not paying for one. Well, I like that. Let's see if we can not pay for 2. No, the internet, and it's changed many of our businesses. I mean, it's changed Geico's business very, very dramatically, and it affects them all to one degree or another. So it's amazing to me. I mean, people get pessimistic about America, and just think in the last 20 or 25 years, or well, just 20 years on the internet, how dramatically it's changed your life. It's not over yet. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen to make life better, and Charlie may not think the internet makes life better, but when I compare trying to round up 3 other guys on a snowy day to come over to my house to play bridge versus snapping the thing on and having my partner in San Francisco there and 2 other friends and so on in 10 or 20 seconds, I think the world has improved.
Well, if I had your partner, I'd think it would improve too.
Okay.
Mr. Buffett, in this environment of quantitative easing, low interest rates, and an overvalued stock market, what value in silver at these prices do you see, and do you still follow the silver market?
I really don't follow it much anymore. At one time, we owned over 100 million ounces of silver, and I knew a fair amount about the supply and demand for it and the prospective supply and demand, but I really don't. I haven't paid much attention to it for a long, long time.
Well, it's a very good thing too. We didn't do that well.
Yeah, we made a little money.
Yes.
Photography changed it. The interesting thing about silver is that there are some pure silver mines, but overwhelmingly, silver is produced as a byproduct, in terms of copper mining, and so it doesn't respond as much to its own supply and demand characteristics. That's still a factor, as it does in terms of the supply and demand characteristics of the things of which it's a byproduct like copper. So it's a very small market too, but we came out better than the Hunt brothers. But other than that, we don't think about silver anymore. Okay, let's go to station 6.
Hi, Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger. My name is Petra Bergman. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, in the Northern Europe. I work at something called EFN.se. I wanted to ask you, from my point of view, what would be the answer to the most intelligent question I could ask you right now?
Everybody tries that question. And it would be wonderful if that would solve all your problems. But I don't think it's a very good question. Or perhaps I should say,
Let's phrase that differently, Charlie.
well, what I mean is, you're asking too much of somebody when you ask him to honestly say what is the most enlightening question he could answer.
Yeah, I get that asked by the students a lot, and I've had a lot of practice in hearing it asked, but I haven't had very much success in answering it. So I'll have to beg off on that one. Okay, Station 5. Got
Hi, my name is
15
Arthur.
minutes.
I'm from Los Angeles. I wanted to thank you for having us in your hometown. And we've all been listening to your business prowess and all your successes. There's no question that you're good at business and finance and have fun doing it. But there are comments that you've made on income inequality, giving away 99% of your wealth. And I'm led to believe that you're motivated by more than just amassing wealth or financial gains. So I'd like to speak to your value core and ask what matters to you most and why.
Charlie, what matters to you most?
Well, I think that I had an unfortunate channeling device. I was better at figuring things out than I was at everything else. I was never going to succeed as a movie star or as an athlete or as an actor or something. And I early got the idea that, partly from my family, my grandfather in particular, whose name I bore, had the same idea, that really your main duty is to become as rational as you could possibly be. I mean, rationality was just totally worshipped by Judge Munger and my father and others. And since I was good at that and no good at anything else, I was steered in something that worked well for me. But I do think rationality is a moral duty. That's the reason I like Confucius. He had the same idea all those years ago. And I think Berkshire is sort of a temple of rationality. What's really admired around Berkshire is somebody who sees it the way it is. Wouldn't you agree with that, Warren?
Yeah,
more than anything, more than energy.
You better see
more
it the
than-
way it is. Yeah.
What?
You better see it the way it is. Yeah.
You see it the way it is. And so that's the way I did it. But that goes beyond a technique for amassing wealth. To me, that's a moral principle. I think if you have some easily removable ignorance and keep it, it's dishonorable. I don't think it's just a mistake or a lack of diligence. I think it's dishonorable to stay stupider than you have to be. And so that's my ethos. And I think you have to be generous because it's crazy not to be. We're a social animal and we're tied to other people.
Well, I would say, it doesn't sound very noble, but what matters to me most now, and probably has for some time, I mean, there are things that matter that you can't do. There are things that matter that you can't do anything about. I mean, in terms of health and the health of those around you and all of that. But actually, what matters to me most is that Berkshire does well. That basically, I'm in a position where we've probably got 1 million or more people that are involved with us, and it just so happens that it's enormously enjoyable to me, so I can rationalize it, the activity. But I would not be happy if Berkshire were doing poorly. That doesn't mean whether the stock goes down or whether the economy has a bad year. But if I felt that we weren't building something every year that was better than what we had the year before, I would not be happy. I get this enormous fun out of it, and I get to work with people I like.
But that's very important. The truth of the matter is, it's easy for somebody like Warren or me to lose a little of our own money because it doesn't matter that much. But we hate losing somebody else's. And that's a very desirable attitude to have in a civilization. Don't you hate losing Berkshire money?
Yeah, it would. That would be the only thing that would keep me up at night. Yeah. We won't do it. We can lose money on individual things. Obviously, we can have bad years in the economy, and we can have years where the stock market goes down a lot. That doesn't bother me in the least. What bothers me is if I do something that actually costs Berkshire in terms of its long-term value. Then I feel I do not feel good about life on that day. But we can avoid most of that, fortunately. We do get to pick our spots. We're very fortunate in that respect.
Well, a good doctor doesn't like it when the patient dies on the table either, not a new thought.